Summoners, and welcome back to a brand new Pro Guides video. Today we're going to have some fun and talk about how you can find your main champion. Some of you guys, especially newer players, are out here looking for a new main just in time for the holidays. It's kind of like finding your soulmate, except maybe not as fulfilling or romantic. Or at least we hope not. Okay, that got weird. Anyway, in this video we will be talking about things to think about and ways that will help you discover a new champion that you will want to main. For today's question of the day, what's your favorite part about playing League? For me, it's just playing a champion that I really enjoy. Whether I win or I lose, I at least just want to try to have fun and play champions that I like, and that's not super hard to achieve either. Are you getting ganked in your own lane, constantly demolished? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered, because Pro Guides is the #1 proven way to quickly help you level up your League of Legends skills. Whether you're looking for tier lists, champion guides, coaching, or courses from your favorite pro players, Pro Guides is where you'll find them. Even players like Nightblue, Bunnyfufu, and Locodoco support Pro Guides. So what are you waiting for? Click the link to start improving right now. And with that stuff being said, let's get started with today's video. This video is going to be all about finding your new main champion, and you really don't want to realize later on down the road that you've made a mistake. That's why we think the first thing you should look for in a champion is that whether you think they're fun or not. Sure, champions like Yasuo and Riven have the connotation of being fun because they do crazy stuff, but what you need to find is what fits you specifically. Because some people enjoy different things and find different things fun. Some players literally like to watch the world burn, so they quite enjoy the pure little mockery of playing Little Devil Teemo and ruining somebody else's day. Others instead find the satisfaction in being a parent and keeping their teammates alive, holding their hands and making sure they don't fall off the edge of a cliff. Bottom line, find a role or a champion that you enjoy playing, and think about the style or the class of a champion rather than just their image. At the end of the day, you might clock in hundreds if not thousands of games on this champion, so you really want to be sure, but also think about the fact that it'll be worth it in the end. And you also want to be thinking about what type of other game genres you enjoy. Maybe you prefer more hack and slash games and action intense games, so you might want to try a champion who's mobile and dives into the backline like Aurelia, or if you're more of a strategic person, you might enjoy someone who can hard engage with a big ultimate like Ornn or Twisted Fate. Because of the massive roster of champions to choose from, sometimes you don't even know where to begin. The free week rotation is a mechanic implemented to the client for all players who are above Summoner level 11. If you're below that point, well, you probably don't need to be worrying about maining a champion just yet, and you'll have access to a different roster. Each week, you'll have a different set of champions you can choose to play for free. These are the best times to give new champions you're interested a try because it's literally a free trial period. If you're really lost over who you want to play, try playing a game on each character and seeing whether or not you enjoy playing them. Those of you who don't know what role you're set on playing, you can even narrow it down to the champions that are being played in your role exclusively. One issue though is how can you go about choosing a champion when you have no idea what you want? Well, what if we let the game choose a champion for you? To help determine what you're going to be doing and what you like doing, one thing you can try is playing a lot of ARAMs, where you'll actually have the idea of a champion being brought to you, and you'll take the fight to the Howling Abyss and play a random champion. While this specifically does not give you an idea of how the laning phase or isolated matchups work out, it will give you an opportunity to play champions and skip straight to the team fights. When you play someone in ARAM, you can ask yourself, is this a champion you could see yourself playing because they're fun? Honestly, ARAMs are a great way to skip a bunch of the things and get straight to the point in the nitty-gritty of a champ. Right away, you're going to gain access to all of your abilities, and you're going to get your items much quicker than you would on Summoner's Rift. And ARAMs are a chance for you to simply take whoever you get. On Summoner's Rift, you could always switch your line last second and change to a different champion, but because in ARAM who you get is who you get, it allows you to be less decisive, but also in some ways more decisive. ARAM feels like no matter what happens, you might end up liking a champion you would have otherwise never even given a chance. This also is not limited to champions that you play. You're going to come across a lot of different characters on the Howling Abyss, so if you see one on your team or the enemy team that catches your eye, then it might be time to do some research. Go ahead and look into that champion, maybe watch a video or two about them, and if they pass your preliminary screening, great. Try to unlock them or wait for a free week and try them out on a few games of Summoner's Rift. With that aside, there are still a lot of other things that you need to think about. Why do you want to main a champion to begin with, and what draws you to them specifically? Well, one thing that a champion has that draws players is usually how they're played. A champion's playstyle, of course, will dictate the type of gameplay that you can expect when you look into them. Hopefully you have a general idea of what you like to do in this game. Do you enjoy frontlining, diving in and not backing out until you or your opponent dies? Or maybe you're more of a methodical player and like to play patiently. Wait for the right moment to make a sick game-winning play. Regardless, the point is that there are champions like Dr. Mundo who embodies a playstyle like the former, and Orianna who definitely falls into the latter. Consider other things like whether or not you like playing aggressively or instead trying to scale up and play a slower paced early game. You'll definitely prefer champions with stronger early games like Draven or Renekton if you like being in your opponent's faces and playing on your own terms. Another super important factor to consider is why you're playing the game. Literally, why do you play League of Legends? Are you playing for fun, kicking it with the boys to play some casuals, or are you more serious about the game? What's fun for you is winning and the satisfaction of the victory screen. Maybe your ambitions go even further and you want to hit the big stage someday. Things like these all factor into your decision. If you're looking to play a game or two here or there with no real goal aside from just having a good time, you can honestly main any champion that you want. Play whoever is fun and leads your best experience is going to be your first choice. In that case, then you're more set on winning. You also need to consider how much time you're willing to put into the game and into the champion. Maybe you've got that competitive drive, but at the same time sitting in the practice tool practicing animation cancels on Riven doesn't really sound that appealing. You might want to main someone who's a bit easier or someone who doesn't take as much time to learn. Landing abilities might not be your thing either, and maybe instead you want to have the pressure of knowing your victory or loss hangs on your aim. You could pick up Renekton instead since he still likes to duke it out and not necessarily being perfect with your combos. If you have some time to kill or you have your sights set further on down the road, you might want to pick up somebody flashier that you can show off with. Building clout doesn't come easy, but it definitely comes easier to those who can garner attention. To sum it up, depending on how much time you want to put into the game and how serious you are about winning, consider your choice carefully. An easier champion can provide you the satisfaction of winning and climbing with much less time involved. On the other hand, if League is something that you enjoy investing your time into, it's definitely okay to choose a champion that will require more practice. Another thing that you want to consider ties directly into our last point. Are you planning on maining this champion for the short term or the long term? Again, this goes back to your purpose for playing League to begin with. For those of you who are intent on climbing the ladder, one viable method is to put more games onto higher tier champions. And while what's in and out of the meta will change constantly, you can observe the general trends in the competitive scene as well as tier lists like we post every single patch. In other words, you can definitely main a champion because they're strong in the current meta, especially if it doesn't take too many games to learn them. There are plenty of players who switch their main regularly, and it's not a bad thing at all to do. It's not like you lose all that experience playing a champion just because you stop playing them for a little bit. Sure, you might get a little bit rusty, but you still know how to play them, and even if they fall out of the meta, who's to say that they won't come back in the future? For those of you who want to stick with one champion in the long term, it's also worth thinking about what type of champion they are. If you're competitively driven, picking a champion who can heavily impact the game like Twisted Fate is always an excellent option. Even when TF falls out of the meta, champions like him can find ways to be useful every game, in spite of any changes to the game's balance. One of the worst feelings is finding a champion you love playing, but coming to terms with the fact that they're usually just kind of weak. It tears you apart, and honestly, when you have to decide between wanting to play a champion you like and playing something else for the win, it's really hard to make that decision. The balance has gotten a little bit easier over the years, and it definitely feels like every champion is always playable these days, but you still need to question if that's enough for you. Does passable cut it? Or do you need your champion to always be relevant and strong? If you want someone that'll always be good in any meta, you want to pick a main that's great at roaming and who provides a lot of utility. It's almost impossible to think of a time where champions like Janna have had such safe, reliable abilities are ever so bad that it's unplayable. A click, a personal connection, the love of your life. You can call it whatever you want, but you have to be able to play a champion and know that you resonate with them and they resonate with you. Your experience is always important in this game, and you're free to main whoever you want. And while you may get judged or have some questionable messages on the all chat for maining someone, that shouldn't be enough to stop you from playing who you want to play. Honestly, most of the time someone throws shade at you for playing someone, they're usually just going to be salty anyway and don't want to learn how to properly work around that character. I know that some of you are probably into world building and storytelling as well, and there's honestly a lot of it in League of Legends. There's so many stories and connections between each character, it really brings life to this game. Well, except for Teemo, since he's a soulless demon. Summoner's Rift might be actually better without him on it. Have you ever thought about why Jhin is so obsessed with the number 4? How his name even has 4 letters in it? This guy takes art a little bit too far. He's psychopathic, and even the way he talks to you in game can be a little bit unsettling. You know something's off about him, but at the same time, you're kind of drawn to him. It's not just champions like him though. I'd argue that there's something more interesting to learn about every single character in League of Legends as long as you look into it. Listen, the backstory and the theme of a character really adds to the entire experience, and it's a means to an end. I've personally fallen in love with characters before because of how well their background fits into their playstyle. You can hear the rage in Lucian's voice when he duels it out with Thresh, the way he talks to Senna, and even his cocky voice lines to the player, it really adds depth to him. Things like these make a character feel alive and feel like they're more worthwhile to play, and it's not something that you should overlook. Anyway, that's going to conclude this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, we really appreciate all the support that you guys give us. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel and ProGuides.com, where we have so much content dedicated to helping you guys level up your gameplay and push for your goals. Until next time, good luck on the Rift.